and I'm so excited that we're having the second day today. So today we will have many online speakers, but let's get started with the speakers that are here. First speaker is Hidetoshi Ishii. He's the Vice President of the Free Indo-Pacific Alliance, and he's a Japanese human rights activist. Please come on up.
Hi everyone. I'm Hidetoshi Ishii, Vice President of Free Indo-Pacific Alliance. I'm a Japanese national and an international human rights activist. Many of my activities so far have been supporting those that are oppressed by the Chinese Communist regime, namely Tibetans, Uyghurs, Southern Mongolians, Hong Kongers, and the Chinese who are demanding democracy in China. I'm very happy to have this wonderful opportunity to be able to join this forum. It is a great honor for me to be the first presenter of today's program. Now, I would like to talk a little about my personal experience. On August 9, 1945, just before the end of World War II, the Soviet Union unilaterally broke the Japanese-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact and launched a surprise attack on Japan in Manchuria. Unlike many other Asian countries that became battlegrounds during World War II, Manchuria was a peaceful region. However, after this day, Manchuria suddenly turned into a hell. When Russia invaded Ukraine in violation of the Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurance, I remembered the history of this invasion of Soviet Union and thought that nothing has changed in Russia. Promises made to Russia are not kept. Now, as a matter of fact, when the Soviet Union invaded Manchuria, my grandparents and my father, who was just born, were in that Manchuria. My ancestors are Japanese, but my grandfather was working for the Manchurian Railway Company during this time. The Soviet Union attacked Manchuria and there was a terrible massacre in Manchuria. At least 600,000 Japanese were forcibly deported to various parts of the Soviet Union. The fight of this time was disastrous. Even young boys jumped into Soviet tanks with bombs in the arms to let the women and elderly people escape first. It is impossible to read this record without tears. There was a great loss of life. My grandparents and father were lucky enough to return to Japan alive. That is why I am here. The Soviet invasion is a family history for me and my own problem. I respect the people of Ukraine, Chechens, and other nation states who are fighting against Russian aggression. The Japanese people, including my family, have experienced the same thing. I'm deeply aware of the sacrifices that are being made. Speaking on a political level, Japan has not yet concluded a World War II peace treaty with Russia. This is because Russia has not returned the territories that it invaded and took like a looter and fire at the end of the World War. To precise, they started the invasion on August 9th, continued their unilateral attack even after August 14th, when Japan accepted the Potsdam Declaration and surrendered, and occupied the northern territories even after September 2nd, when the instrument of surrender to the allied nations was signed. The unilateral aggression, ignoring all international treaties and conventions, is a barbaric act of the Soviet Union. This issue is still unresolved. Russia has repeatedly lied countless times, pretending to return the territories while enlisting economic aid from the Japanese government. I believe that there's absolutely no need to go along with these lies any longer. I'm grateful to the member of the Post-Russia Forum for your insistence that not only the Northern Territories, but also Karafuto and the Kuril Islands should be returned to Japan. Japan must also take back what was historically Japan's territories and what was unilaterally taken from Japan by the Soviet Union and Russia through their aggression. Finally, I'd like to say a few words to those who have stood up for national self-determination. Just as Tibet, Southern Mongolia, Uyghur, and Hong Kong should become independent from China's colonization, I believe that the oppressed people who are colonized by the Russian Federation have the right to win national self-determination and independence by their own view. Both China and Russia, those dictatorships and empires should be dismantled. The direction of the course of history is clear, and the question is not whether it will happen or not, but when and in what form it will happen. The people of Ukraine and Chechen who are now fighting with their blood know better than anyone. The way will be very difficult, but it will happen. No dictatorship in history has ever lasted forever. However, there is one point that we must be alert on, and that is we must not let the weakening of Russia lead to the strengthening of China. I understand that you who have gathered in this forum do not want such a thing. I trust you all. In order to avoid going under China's control after winning your independence from Russia, we need an integrated strategy that includes economic and military aspects. If you make a mistake there, you will invite an even more tragic future for Asia. As a Japanese, I absolutely cannot accept such a future. It is essential to have a firm partnership with countries that share fundamental values such as freedom, human rights, and democracy. I support you all. I always say this. Japan should be the fortress of freedom in Asia. Decolonize Russia. Freedom and independence for Eurasia. Thank you.
Thank you very much.